Hello, my name is John. I'm not here to pitch an app. I used to work on apps. Before moving to Sweden, I was at Apple in California as an engineer working on macOS 10, and I moved to Sweden to work for Skype. I was the technical lead on Skype for iPhone, back when Skype was cool. Now I want to talk about a platform for software developers. And the idea is, say you're a software developer. Wouldn't it be great if you could write a few lines of code and have an order dispatched to a local supermarket so that your users can basically order things from the supermarket, food or non-food, and have it shipped to their door? Right now, if you want to do that, there's no open APIs for doing this. If you want to do that, you need to call up a supermarket and kind of do a deal with them and get access to their API, if they have an API. That's fine if you can do that and the supermarket wants to talk to you, but that doesn't scale. Supermarkets don't have developer portals and relations and people set up to talk to developers. So the idea is that there needs to be a layer between the applications, the developers, and the supermarkets, and it has to be global because many applications, their target users are global these days. So the idea is a global API for online grocery shopping. And for users, this is the current kind of user experience. This is ICA, Coop, and Mat.se. It's basically almost indistinguishable, right? And I think the trend is to move the experience of shopping up from individual product decisions and brands up towards meal plans and also goals. I want to be healthier, I want to help the environment, eat sustainably, so kind of higher level shopping, moving away from this. Another thing is that half of what's an issue supermarket isn't even food. And so you have companies, tech companies in the States doing kind of innovating in this area, moving away from these like talking to little databases, adding things to shopping carts, to hardware devices. Amazon and Google are doing this. The supermarkets are not investing in this kind of software innovation. In the travel industry, more than half of the worldwide market share goes through online intermediaries. And that hasn't happened in the grocery industry, but I believe it will. Sweden is kind of a small speck in the worldwide supermarket, e-commerce market, and even in Sweden it's growing at about 40%. Working closely with friends at Filibaba, who just presented earlier, to do a pilot. And that's kind of the next step, is to actually, now that the API is kind of in a prototype testable stage, and now it's kind of going to market with that. So I'm happy to talk to anybody who's interested in working with us. Thanks.
Thank you, John. And the same question. What did you learn from this weekend?
I mean, it's been great just to be in this room and full of I think a lot of people are trying to solve similar problems, but a lot of different perspectives. So I think it's been great to be here, and maybe just I need to focus less on the engineering and more on the business side of things.
Okay, I think you should focus a lot on engineering as well, right? So, but let's find some business people in here that wants to work with John then. And then you don't have to raise your hands because all hands will come up, right? Questions, Daniel?
Very good idea. How big do you think the likelihood is that you can do that global layer API, or is it, do people want direct APIs? What do you think it's the likelihood?
From a technical perspective, it could be possible. I think it's maybe on the business side of things, it can depend on the individual markets, but technically it's possible. Especially starting out, the kind of current proof of concept is using a bot that basically automates the browser and submits orders, but it can also be talking to the supermarket's API directly. But the important thing is that layer of abstraction. Does that help? Yes?
Have you heard about the service called My Supermarket in the UK?
I think so, but
It's, I mean, they do pretty much the same for the UK, but they
Right.
also do from the continent.
right.
It's the most popular e-commerce platform for grocery shopping. I think
Huh,
it's
yeah.
something that's known.
I mean, in Sweden, Coop has a partnership with Gastrovide making recipes shoppable, and there's a lot of these things happening, but they're all one-off. And I think the key here is that it needs to be kind of this cross-vendor, cross-country platform.
Tony.
Oh, I was wondering what your planned business model is. How will you fill your end? Yeah.
Kind of like Foodora, when Foodora, they take orders and dispatch them to restaurants and add on a service charge or a delivery charge. So the idea would be this similar here. And then at a certain volume, then we can go to groceries and kind of negotiate perhaps a commission. But the margins are quite small on groceries.
Okay, very good. Thank you all.